This is Rugby Round Up. Coming up, we speak to Worcester's Rob Higgit after their best performance of the season, plus highlights of Bees London Welsh, analysis of Moseley's defeat to Cornish Pirates. Hello and welcome to Brian Dick's Rugby Roundup. I'm Chrissy Savis and I'm joined in our Fort Dunlop studios by rugby correspondent Brian Dick. Hello Brian.
Morning Chrissy.
Well, first up it's Worcester and they really hit their stride. That must go down as their best performance.
Yeah, well it wasn't the biggest points total, but in terms of an imposing 80-minute performance it was a definite step forward. Nobody'd beaten Rotherham on their home pitch this season. Worcester went there and the big challenge for them was whether they were going to front up in the forwards. When Rotherham came to six ways earlier in the season, it was the Rotherham pack that really dominated that game. And although Worcester won, it was Rotherham's game plan, keeping it tight amongst the forwards that was probably the thing that everyone would have taken notice from that game. So going up there on a small pitch, Worcester knew they would face an onslaught up front, but they coped with it really well. The forwards, it was easily their best performance of the season. The backs did what they had to. They finished off what the forwards' good work, which is exactly what rugby teams should be about. The forwards win matches, the backs decide by how many, and moving forward, it's tremendously promising for Richard Hill.
They must be confident going into their next match with Esher.
Well, they should be. They stuck 48 points on Esher earlier in the season. The wheels have fallen off Esher's season a little bit now. They're on a run of defeats. The feel-good factor of promotion has ebbed away a little bit, and coming to six ways with Worcester having seemingly turned some sort of corner. The risk is there that it could be quite a messy afternoon for Esher. However, there is the caveat that Worcester have tended to play better away from home than they have at home. The only game they've lost was against Cornish Pirates at home, and invariably they tend to frustrate a little bit when they play at six ways. They don't seem to get that intensity. Maybe that's because they don't feel as though they're under the cosh as they do when they go to places like London Welsh and Bedford and Rotherham. Difficult to know what the reason is, but if they can recreate the necessary intensity from minute one, then there's absolutely no reason why that they couldn't exceed their points total when they played the Surrey side last time.
We spoke to centre Rob Higgit ahead of that match with Esher.
It'll be a tough game against Esher. Obviously they'll come up and they competed really well down at their place. We had to play well ourselves and managed to get a good result down there. Obviously, hopefully we'll put on a good performance this weekend. We've worked hard in the week. We've looked at areas we can improve on last weekend, but we really need to come out with a high work rate and be technically accurate in everything we do. And if we can do that, then hopefully we'll put on a good performance for the home fans who've obviously been tremendous in their support of us this year. Well, these have obviously had some good results this year. They've turned over London Welsh, they've turned over Bristol, so they've got some good players and they've got a good setup. We just have to come in on Saturday and concentrate on our own performance. Like I said, we have to be accurate in what we do. We've got to have a big enthusiasm and work rate to do our jobs. If we can do that, then hopefully we can put together a performance and hopefully the scoreline will take care of itself then.
Brian will be at that match for us on Saturday and we'll have analysis in next week's show. Now moving on to Moseley, and they were back to their old ways. Where did it all go wrong?
Well, as you said, Ian Smith said to me after this game that it was very reminiscent of the troubled performances they'd put in against Plymouth and London Welsh. The appetite didn't seem to be there. The intensity, the commitment. He was unhappy with all those factors. There were issues out wide again in the wide backs. Cornish Pirates were making a lot of progress through those channels. And it's just so deflating having seemingly turned the corner against Doncaster in their previous match to flop again against Cornish Pirates. It just means that they've got to redo all that hard work again and ask all those difficult questions again. And I'm starting to feel now that maybe this is going to be Moseley's season. Maybe it's going to be not boom or bust, but certainly bust with a little bit of boom where they can muster it, where they can.
They've got Bristol next.
They have. Now this is an interesting fixture because certainly for Bristol, because Because if Moseley go down there and win as Bees did, this basically sucks Bristol back into the relegation mix, and it does everyone a favour. However, if Bristol win, you start to feel with the quality in their squad that they'll inch away a little bit, and it will leave maybe 4 or 5 teams down for that relegation pool rather than 5 or 6 if Moseley can get a win. It's possible, but they drew with Bristol earlier in the season, and while Bristol will look back at that game and think they should have won it 5 times over, the fact is they haven't turned their corner. They're still turning in poor performances, and so Moseley can go down there and if they can get this intensity from the first minute. Bristol are low on confidence, and there's no reason why Moseley can't do what Bees did, or maybe get a couple of lost bonuses or a couple of bonus points. So it's a big game, and yes, if you look at the balance sheets of both clubs, Bristol should win it, but rugby's not played on a balance sheet.
Thanks, Brian. Now let's turn our attention to Bees. They were beating London Welsh. What happened?
Well, they were 35 minutes gone. They were 6-3 up. London Welsh the London Welsh attacks were basically lapping up against the Bees defence and not getting through. Then one guy jumps out of the defensive line. There's a chink there. London Welsh go through it. They score a try under the post, and that starts off 90 minutes of mayhem where missed tackles and poor defensive alignment basically sees Bees lose another game. It was frustrating from the point of view that they'd shown themselves capable for 35 minutes of living with London Welsh, but then they shot themselves in the foot. It wasn't anything great that London Welsh did, it was just a basic, easily controllable error that caused them all those problems.
Well, after the match, we caught up with Russell Earnshaw.
15 crazy minutes of probably conceded 3 tries in 15 minutes, and then fought with everything we had to try and get a try at the end, and just came up short. I didn't feel like it was a 25-point game by any stretch of the imagination. I thought, once again, forwards to a man were pretty good. Lineouts were solid, scrums were very solid, with probably till Nalo came off, and we're physical. And match them, definitely match them up front. I think we need to get much more accurate in what we're doing in the backs, defensively and offensively.
Well, next up for Bees, it's Cornish Pirates. Can they bounce back?
They can. Will they? Difficult to say. It depends if they can perform for longer than 40 minutes. Cornish Pirates, as we've just said, are a slick. They're big and slick. In fact, they're a decent top-end championship side. Not dissimilar to London Welsh in many ways. Although they haven't got the press defence that Bees found so difficult to live with against Welsh. If Bees, as we said, if they can basically play error free for longer, then they've got a chance. But if they turn in another performance like they have against Bedford, where they've played for half, and like they have against London Welsh, where they've played for half, if they do that again on Saturday, Cornish Pirates are a side that can accumulate points quickly, and they will do that on Sunday. So we're looking for proper game management. We're looking for better defensive alignment, and we're looking for fewer missed tackles.
Thanks, Brian. That's all we've got time for this week. We'll be back next Thursday with more rugby news, but now we'll leave you with highlights of the Bees match.
Yeah, so good.